in his mind, Mauricio would be the one to, to take us that next level. We ask ourselves, how is it possible we got Van Dijk? We was, being taken for fools in that day.
Welcome, everyone, to The X-Files, the series where we look back on some of your favourite memories and moments in Saints history and the inside story on them from a former player. If you watched episode 1, that was Nathan Redmond talking about that unforgettable EFL Cup semi-final against Liverpool in 2017, which this man might remember his former teammates, José Fonte. Great to see you. And we're going to learn about your journey, José, from League One to the Europa League. It was happy times. First up, how are you? What are you up to?
I'm very good. Very happy to be speaking with you and for the Saints fans. I'm in Portugal. I still play. If people don't know, I still play for Casa Pia in the Portuguese league. I'm enjoying my time. We're having a successful season for our targets. We are on course to have an historical season, so all good. I'm still enjoying playing football. And like I said, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Thank you, José. It's great to see you. One of the all-time greats of the Saints. Can I ask a really horrible question, though? You're still playing at the age of... You've passed a landmark, haven't you?
41.
Wow, that's so cool. And we saw you the other day at St Mary's. Did you enjoy that day with the legends, and did your family enjoy coming back to St Mary's?
Absolutely amazing. It was, even for the kids to be able to be back at St Mary's. My wife, she was very obviously very touched as well, because we spent such a long period of time there. We loved every minute, and to be back and to see everyone that used to work at the club and to see the fans, to see my teammates, it was just phenomenal. I loved it very much.
So we're going to go, rather than just focus on one match, José, we're going to go through your career. And at the end of it, you've got the challenge of naming your all-time Saints 11 of players you played with, which won't be easy because you played with some seriously good players. Yeah, you're bound to offend a few people.
But I had to think a lot about it, by the way.
I looked at it as well.
Really, I went into statistics and everything, just to make sure I didn't get it wrong.
Okay, I look forward to that. We'll finish with that. But let's go back to the start. Let's rewind, because I never quite understood why you chose Southampton. You were going well at Palace. You were in the Championship. You were a regular in that team. And you came to us, José, at a time when we'd been deducted 10 points. We were in League One. We were languishing in League One in 13th place. Yet you chose to move. Why?
Well, I have to say, a very difficult decision. I was approached by Crystal Palace, first of all, and by the manager, Neil Warnock. He said to me very clearly, he was very open, very transparent. He said, "Listen, José, I don't want you to go. You play every game, you start every game. I don't want you to go, but the club is going into administration, or was in administration. We need to sell players. And one of the players that has market and can be sold is you and Victor Moses." I'm not going to lie. No, there's no player that wants to change playing regular football in the Championship and with aspirations of playing in Premier League football would like to listen. Yeah, you have to go and play in League One. So a very tough call that I had to endure with Nicola and Pardew. I was confused. I was confused on why am I in this situation? Why do I have to go and play in League One? But when I spoke to Nicola and with Pardew at the time, and when they showed me the vision, especially Nicola, when Nicola showed me the vision and showed me the team that he was assembling and what his plans for the future were, that gave me a feeling inside that although a risky move, it was something that could be great. because we could accomplish so much, and I could make history in the team. I could perhaps grow and get into the Premier League faster than I would with the Crystal Palace, or if I waited for a move. So I decided to take a leap of faith, to trust the vision that Nicola had, and what Pardew had planned for me and my role at the club. They said clearly, we want you to come into the club to take us and to try and guide us all the way up to the Premier League. And I was sold the dream.
And knowing Nicola Cortese, he was a man in a hurry. It didn't quite happen that season, as you'll remember. We very nearly got to the playoffs, but didn't. But as a fan, I felt better with you having taken that risk, because at least we got you to Wembley. Do you remember the Johnson's Paint final, that game against Carlisle? That felt like, and you tell me if it was the same, I'd describe it as the resurrection of Southampton Football Club almost started at Wembley that day.
I believe it. Yes, you're absolutely right. It all started in that final, and seeing all them fans at Wembley lifting the trophy, seeing the owner with us, seeing all the communion and the togetherness of all the same supporters and the team. And you rightly so, you say that it started there and then it kicked off. Although we didn't get promoted that season, unfortunately, which was a bit of a blow, because we had to endure another year in League One. I think that that was the beginning of something special, as we know.
Yeah, we still sing about the Lieber family at St Mary's now, as you know. But the next season, Jose, you said we were taking off. We didn't really to start with. It was a bad start. And then Alan Pardew got sacked. Is that difficult for a player when a manager's brought you to a club and then he's gone?
It's always tricky, of course, because you know that a coach has his trust in you, and you always are a bit apprehensive, but you must back yourself, work hard. And when Nigel Adkins came, we players had to move on. This is football. We had to adapt. And the truth is that Nigel Adkins came and he did a very, very good job as well. And we managed to get promoted into the Championship.
And there were some key moments in that, particularly the end of the season under Adkins. I think it's one defeat in the last 15 games, Jose. At Brighton, someone scored a very important late goal. And my memories from that are, one, the Withdean looked so old. Two, you had very long hair. And three, Kelvin Davis seemed to take the credit. Is that fair?
Absolutely. One of the best moments of my Saints career. Of course, we can talk about Premier League. We can talk about reaching Europa League, great wins against great teams, historical teams in English football. But that day, it was something special, because we knew that we needed to win that game. We really needed the 3 points, and we was behind almost the whole match until the moment David Connolly got us back in the game, and then to go away with the 3 points in the last seconds of the game after an assist from Kelvin Davis. That was just incredible. And seeing the celebrations after was so, so special. Seeing Kelvin pointing to the bench of the Brighton players and Brighton staff after they've been, obviously, as you know, I don't know if he was at the game, but
there was no love lost between the two at that point.
We was made fun the whole game because they already were promoted, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
They already had the chief promotion, and we was being taken for fools in that day, and to be able to come away with the 3 points was just incredible in that fashion.
Yeah, I remember it. The fallout. It was Gus Poyet, wasn't it? Who was manager then. It was
always spicy. Always very spicy.
Yeah.
Between the two teams was very competitive. What a great coach, by the way, as well. I must say, Gus Poyet. I really rate him as a person and as a coach. And great moments in that season. I have fond memories of them.
Do you know how many goals you scored? Here's going to test your memory.
Yeah, that was my best season, so I cannot forget the 7 goals.
That's right.
Scored, right?
That's right.
That was good. Only yours scored more than me the next season.
I want to ask you about.
I think so. Yeah.
I want to ask you about him as a character. We'll come on to the players a bit, but the end of that season, it was Plymouth. Do you remember the game against Plymouth where we pretty much knew that was it?
Yes.
That was the moment where we knew we were going up. And then, what are your memories of the game against Walsall? Wasn't it the final game of the season and that famous pitch invasion?
Yeah, the Plymouth game. It was a bit of a nervy game, and the most important is we got the job done, and then the fun part came in the bus on the journey back. We managed to persuade Nicola to get us a trip to Vegas and to pay for everything.
You persuaded Nicola Cortese to send you all to Vegas.
Yeah, we did. So that's the moment I remember most. It's when we started singing, and Nicola got up and said that he would pay the Bellagio for every player to go and celebrate the promotion.
That's
and
fantastic.
Then the Walsall game obviously special because the scenes after the game was done and we sealed the promotion. I mean, special moments for sure. Everyone that loves Saint and was at the stadium or not remembers that day. And these are moments that stay with us forever.
And more were to come the next season because we know what Cortese was like. He wasn't going to settle for that post-Vegas. It was into the Championship for one season. And great start. I don't know whether you remember the Leeds game and then an amazing start to the season. I think Saints won 6 of the first 7 games, 19 goals. Incredible momentum. And St Mary's then, Jose, was a fortress, wasn't it? I think 10 successive home league wins is quite something.
Yes. When you look at the squad, we had such competitive team spirit squad. The players that Nicola assembled together with the coaches were fantastic. I mean, to have Ricky Lambert and to have Adam Lallana, Morgan Schneiderlin. I know these last two, Adam Lallana and Morgan, Adam came from the youth system and Morgan was there since a young age. But to have these type of players in the Championship, it's unbelievable. We was very, very lucky to have such a great team spirit. And I wasn't surprised that we started the way we started, to be honest, Ed, because the mentality was we going straight to the Premier League. We go again, promotion after promotion. That's the objective. Nicola was very clear. He wanted to win the Premier League very, very soon.
But it got nervy, didn't it? Do you remember? Do you remember those games at the end of the season?
Of course.
Bristol City ended that home record. That got nervy. Then Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Then we lost to Reading, and you must be thinking, whoa, hold on, what's going on here?
Yeah, the Reading game was not nice, I have to say, because we really felt that we could have won the league, and that Reading game was a tough one to take because in the end we had to settle for second. Although it got nervy, the objective was accomplished. We managed to get promoted to the Premier League, and it's moments like this, that you are tested, right? When it's squeaky bum time, like you guys say. So,
and how many goals had you scored that season to this point?
Until the last game, 0.
That's correct.
I have to say, Ed, for my defense, I played the last 15 games with 2 broken toes.
Is that right?
I didn't train. I just do bicycle the whole week. I used to do bicycle the whole week and gym. And then 1 hour before the game, I used to take the injections so I don't feel nothing, no pain. But then after 60, 70 minutes, the pain would come and it would be, a sacrifice to finish the game. So I didn't venture myself that much, going forward that season. I have to say, I was just protecting myself.
And you scored on that day. I remember Reading were in the Premier League, obviously, then, and I was at Reading that day with one eye on what was going on at St Mary's. I didn't need to worry. I remember. Do you remember your song, the Human League song, José Fonte, Baby?
Of course.
Reverberating around. Another pitch invasion. That was an amazing day, wasn't it? A 4-0 comfortable win, and Premier League dream was alive.
Yeah, that was a special day. Pressure again was on. Although Coventry, I believe, was already relegated. I think Coventry was already relegated.
That would make sense.
But we still needed to make sure that we finished the job. And, there was a couple of nervy moments in the beginning until we scored the first one. And after that, obviously, we knew that there was no chance that we wouldn't finish with a win. So, again, another promotion, another celebration. This time, no Vegas. We didn't go.
How did you celebrate this time?
I think we just stayed. We had something arranged in and around Southampton. Then the boys just went out. We didn't go anywhere special in that season.
I think I remember interviewing Cortese and said, how are you going to finish in 17th place in the Premier League? And he said, we're going to win it. So he was pretty ambitious going into the Premier League. And I just want to ask you some of the guys you were taking with you. You've mentioned Joss, who I think's a superhuman being, who'd been your defensive partner a bit before then, really. What was he like on and off the pitch?
Joss, as you know, is a great character.
He did the music, guy. I know that.
Yeah, funny guy, makes people laugh, good influence. And apart from being a great footballer and someone that was very important in the championship season, especially, he scored 8 goals, if I'm not mistaken. He was fundamental piece in that season. He's just a great guy to have, great teammate, always, ready to fight for the team, always ready to, eat the grass if he needs to. So, you need guys like yours. They are invaluable because of the team spirit they are able to create as well.
And is that as part of the group going into the Premier League? Were you confident you had those characters? You've mentioned 3 already: Lallana's, Schneiderlin's, Lamb. Yes. Were you confident you had the dressing room and the leaders to cope?
I think, Nicola knew exactly what he was doing, first of all. And the talent in the team was undeniable. When you have people like Morgan Schneiderlin, Adam Lallana, Ricky Lambert up front, you have these are all players that, including myself, these are all players that ended up being international for their countries. We are talking Portugal, England, and France, and to be able to do that, it shows that it's unbelievable that we came all the way from League One and we went all the way to national team. So the talent was there. I'm not surprised that we did not only survive, but we did. I think we finished the first season 14th, if I'm not mistaken. It's not great, obviously, but we were finding our feet in the Premier League. And we ended up quite comfortably surviving. And the next season was, as you know, a great one.
And let's rewind for a moment to the start of the Premier League journey.
Manchester City, the first game. Right?
And I remember it well. You can probably see the stadium behind me, right? And I'd finished the season before presenting the Aguero goal, the amazing finish to that season. We came back to the Etihad, which was buoyant. Start of the season, little old Southampton coming to town. I was in the studio behind the away fans, different studio in those days. And they celebrated Ricky's goal and then Stephen Davis's goal with the Poznan up at the studio to me. And I didn't want people to know I was a Southampton fan. I was deadpan Jose, but my God, it was exciting. We were leading Man City at City and we're thinking the Premier League's fantastic. And then the wheels came off. It must have been quite an experience.
It was definitely. It was a great way to have a reality check. We was playing against the champions. Everybody was counting us out that we was going to, get smashed there. And we find ourselves winning 2-1 with 10 minutes to go or something like that. And what a great experience for all of us, because although we lost, we ended up losing the game 3-2. I think it gave us a lot of belief that we could compete, in the Premier League, and that was a good test.
And it was a roller coaster from there. I remember leading against Man United, and then Van Persie got a hat trick, and it was a tough start. But then I think around Christmas time, things started to go well. We're 15th, and Saints fans are happy, and then bang! All of a sudden, Nigel Adkins bombed, sacked, and I remember Gary Neville behind me couldn't believe it. He's like, "What are Southampton doing?"
Yeah.
What was your reaction to the sacking, and did you know anything about this new unknown fellow called Maurizio Pochettino at that point?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it wasn't surprising. It was a little bit of a surprise. But having said that, Maurizio Pochettino was someone that I knew because my brother, Rui, he used to play for Espanyol, where Maurizio was coach. So when I heard the rumors, immediately I phoned my brother, and I knew him already from watching games and from feedback that my brother used to give me, that he was someone very, very, very good, very competent, a new approach, high pressing, intensity, and he rated him very, very highly, my brother. So when people started talking that Nigel Adkins would probably get the sack, and we were linked with Mauricio, and then in a meeting with Nicola, we was informed that he would be our new coach. It was a tough situation, of course, we understand, because Nigel had done a great job for Saints, but we understood the decision because Nicola, like you mentioned previously, he wanted to win the Premier League, and he had high hopes and high dreams for the club. And in his mind, Mauricio would be the one to take us that next level, to take us to the next step.
And I must admit, I just love Poch from the off. I mean, we got incredible results that season: City, Chelsea, Liverpool. We go into the close season, Jose, full of hope for 2013 and 14. And my goodness, what a flying start. Do you remember the trip to Anfield? And I remember in the interview, Pochettino said, "We need to stop Sturridge. We need to stop Coutinho." I imagine you were key to that plan.
And we did 1-0. Lovren scored, if I'm not
That's right,
mistaken. Yeah. Every player, or most players actually, well, I certainly did, I have to say. I certainly was very, very eager to play, and I used to love to play at Anfield. And to go there and to win a game at Anfield with our Saints team was just incredible. And again, that second season, we got some good momentum, and more we started to believe that we could compete certainly in the top 10.
Who made you captain initially?
Since I arrived with Alan Pardew, I was always in the captain's group, but it was Ronald Koeman that decided that I would be club captain that season, 15-16.
And before that, obviously you were doing so well, which inevitably meant Southampton's players were in the shop window of the spotlights. And then Poch is in demand and goes. We lose Lambert, don't we? Lallana. I mean, Liverpool are coming in here, and Lovren. And at this point, it was crucial, wasn't it, to recruit well, both in terms of a manager, and Koeman was a great decision. But my goodness, we brought some good players in as well, didn't we?
Yes. It's very tough to see, your best players go. If I recall well, that was the time that Nicola left. When he left the club, everybody was a little bit, okay, what's going to happen now? We are selling our best assets. how we're gonna achieve or accomplish our dreams of, being constantly playing to win stuff and to play in the European competitions. And I have to say, when we lost them players, was tough to see them go. Although they was going into very, very good clubs, it was tough to lose them. But credit to the Saints scouting team, and credit to whoever found this amazing talent, and we was able to even better the year before. I think we came sixth, if I'm not mistaken, with one of the best defenses in the league. And what a great season that was.
So many highlights.
Better, in my opinion. Because that was the one.
Can I pick out a few? The 8-0 against Sunderland, the club's biggest ever top flight win. That must have felt bonkers.
Incredible. We used to go into games and think, they can't compete with us. We was a very solid team that would go into games and really felt like we could compete against anyone at that stage, with the likes of Tadic and Pele, Mane, Bertrand, Alderweireld, Van Dijk, who, Morgan Schneider, Vitor Wanyama, Stephen Davis, Ward-Prowse.
Did you know that Van Dijk was that good from the off?
Yeah, from the first day, you see him train and you see his stature and his pace and his technical ability and his presence, the capability of winning duels, all the duels, either in the air or on the floor. Here, immediately we knew, how is it possible? That's the question we ask ourselves. How is it possible we got Van Dijk? How has no one else found this guy? That was the question. It's unbelievable. For 13 million to get Van Dijk, it's unbelievable.
I love the fact he credits you as well. The fact he was playing alongside you. You'd never give yourself credit for that, but I know you were a big part of that, Jose.
No, listen, he was young, and I was already in my 30s back then. I didn't have to do much. It's all his credit. We would just communicate very well. It's just the understanding of the game, understanding that the Premier League is slightly different from the Scottish League. You can't take as many risks as you take in the Scottish League, or you get punished. It's about being tactically perfect, always in balance, commanding in front of you, and he learned that very, very quickly.
Just a couple more games I want to do with you, so I want to leave 5 minutes before you take your son to coaching to do the all-time team. My favourite ever Saints game you played in, and you'll remember this, you hadn't won at Old Trafford for 27 years. I'd been presenting Southampton matches on Sky for 2.5 years, and we hadn't won. You called me the curse, and it was an absolute nightmare. You go to Old Trafford, and Dusan changes the game. What a performance that was.
Yeah, well, another great moment. Another, like I said before, Ed, we would really go into games believing that we could compete against anyone, and we believed that we could win. We went into that game believing that we can. We was doing a very good season, and we believed that we was very much capable of winning that game. And to see Tadic give us then 3 points and to end the curse,
the monkey was off my back, as they said.
Yeah.
And then I used to host the Player of the Year awards then, and I think that was you. We looked at the board the other day. Do you remember? Was that your second one as the Saints Player of the Year? I think that's right.
It was 14-15 or 15-16, something like that. Yeah, that was the second one. Amazing.
And then another amazing season, both for Southampton and Portugal, we should mention. The next season was incredible. Another great finish. And you say you could go anywhere and do anything. My son was actually the mascot for the game, and you looked after him when Liverpool came to town, and they were 2-0 up. And you kept believing then, did you?
Did we beat them 4-2? Was
3-2.
That the game? 3-2.
One of the greatest days of my life with my son involved, but also one of the greatest games for anyone.
It was a great game. Yeah. I remember being a great game. Liverpool, when they used to play us, especially at Southampton, I always remember Coutinho scoring great goals against us.
Should have got
It was like, it's unbelievable. He always used to score great goals against us, and always tough against Liverpool. Obviously, Sturridge, Suarez, Coutinho. What a great squad they had at the time. And being 2-0 down and or losing the game and being able to come back in that fashion that we did. Of course, for your son and for yourself, must have been a great experience.
He had little sports glasses on, and you looked after him beautifully. That's the kind of guy you were.
At that time, we was becoming a powerhouse. Everybody would respect us. We would feel the respect from any team that used to come to St. Mary's. They knew they were in for a tough game.
And at this point, Jose, you passed 30 at this point, and suddenly Portugal are recognising your leadership and your skills. And that summer, that's got to be one of the highlights of your career, wasn't it? You played in every knockout game as you won Euro 2016.
Yeah. I've always had, every player has a dream to play for their national team. My opportunity came very, very late in my career. I was almost 32. And to be selected to play for the national team was one of the greatest moments and one of the greatest honors in my life. And in that summer, to be able to go to France and in France win the title from the French in the final in Paris, what a fairy tale, what a dream it was, because nobody believed in us. Everybody used to criticize the way we played. The French already had everything arranged before the final for the celebrations, the two parades. We saw the champagne flowing into the dressing room before the warm up.
There's your motivation right there.
Yeah, so in the end, it was just incredible to finish that season that we have with Saints in 6, if I'm not mistaken, best season ever, or one of the best seasons of the club. And then to culminate with the win of the Euros, I was on the moon at that time, on the moon.
Fantastic. I could take you off the moon now, because you left Southampton the next season, which we haven't got time to talk about, because I want to get your Saints all-time team before you have to go.
We can do part 2 if you want later.
I could go on for hours about these games. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was just a golden period for Saints fans and everybody. But you've got to pick your team, Jose. Yeah. Who's the manager?
Yeah, the manager, it's tough, Obviously, I thrived. I enjoyed playing for everyone. I enjoyed my time with Pardew. I enjoyed my time with Adkins. I enjoyed my time under Maurizio. But the one I'm going to say is actually Ronald Koeman, because he was the one that really put his trust in me. His aura, his communication that I had with him was very, very good. The confidence that he put in me was incredible. So I'm going to go with Koeman.
Who's in goal?
In goal, it's going to be Kelvin Davies, because we played so many games together and our points per game are very, very good. Also, I have to mention Fraser Forster and Boruk, obviously, Artur Boruk. They've done a great job, but I played more than 100 games with Kelvin Davies. I played many, many games with Kelvin, so I have to say Kelvin Davies.
He'd also never forgive you if you didn't include him. So
exactly.
And the back four?
The back four was very hard. Very, very hard. Right back, I'm going to go with Cedric, because we won the Euros, and that season, the season we went into the Euros, we achieved one of the best seasons in the Premier League. But I also have to mention Nathaniel Klein, or Toby Alderweireld, that sometimes plays that in the right as a centre back. But I'm going to go with Cedric.
And then the two central defenders?
The two central defenders, it's one of them, it's easy. We have to say Virgil van Dijk, obviously. The others, it's a fight between Lovren, Yoshida, and Joss. And
I thought you'd pick Alderweireld there, I must say. I know you've mentioned him right
yeah,
back.
no, but I only played 33 games with Toby. Although he's a great player, I need to.
I love how you've done your homework for this. This is great.
I enjoy playing with him. He's a great player, of course. Normal. If I played another season or 2 seasons with Toby, he would be in the team. But I only played 1 season. Same with Lovren. I have a great relationship with Lovren. He is one of my greatest partners. But Yoshida, we played more. Jos, we played more. But in the end, I actually chose Lovren. Because of our bond. We was really a very good partnership. As a left back,
we can put Jos. Jos can be in charge of the dressing room and
listen. Jos, I wanted to do a coming up team and the Premier League team. Okay. I'm not saying that Jos can't play in the Premier League, but I've played much more with Jos in the other divisions, if you know what I mean. I didn't really play much with Jos in the Premier League, so I have to go with Lovren. DVD, Lovren, Cedric, and Ryan Bertrand on the left.
Not Luke Shaw, no?
Again, Luke Shaw was a few games.
Okay.
Great player as well, but only a few games. I could say as well, Dan Hardin or Danny Fox. We had great success previous years, but Bertrand was someone that I really rated. Bertrand was solid. Of course, Luke Shaw was a great talent, and he did very, very well. But Bertrand, for me, was the real deal.
Into midfield?
Into the midfield, that's where it starts to get complicated, But, I could speak Hammond, Cork. They were very, very important. But I couldn't take out Morgan Schneider or Victor Wanyama. I have to go with Morgan Schneider, Victor Wanyama, giving great mentions to Hammond and Cork.
Okay.
And then gets very tricky,
This is going to be fascinating. This is hard now.
Then gets tricky. So because I have to choose between Tadic, Lambert, Pele, Sadio, Steven Davis, Lallana, and Prowse. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 places left. So,
and I'm not letting you off the hook here. So
yeah, no, I'm going with Tadic. What a player!
You always said he was the best trainer, the most unbelievable athlete.
Very, very, always in the gym. Always in the gym. Tadic, what a guy. Professional, serious, trained very, very hard. And you could give him the ball. That season, Cedric and Tadic was a very, very solid partnership down the right. So Tadic, for sure. Lambert up front, 100%. Then it's tough because Sadio was only 1 season, or if I'm not mistaken, Sadio is obviously one of the best players that we've played with, but I might need to go with Steven Davis because I played 170 games with Steven Davis and nobody really, whoever understands football rates Steven Davis very highly, obviously. And he was vital for us. What a guy. So I'm going to go Steven Davis instead of Sadio. Sadio will forgive me anyway.
You got one more.
Lambert up front.
You're going to play with another wide man?
Instead of Pele. Although I love Pele. But Lambert is Ricky Lambert, Sir Ricky Lambert. And then, as a number 10, it's either Lallana or Prowse. And because Lallana is more a number 10 than Prowse, that's the only reason he gets the nod. I love Prowse. Great young talent at the time. He was very, very important for us. He improved so much during them years. But Lallana is just magical. I saw Lallana do stuff that I saw very few do. So that's it. Morgan, Victor Wanyama, Lallana, Davis, Lambert, Tadic.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Bench, though. We have a great bench.
Don't you sit on the fence. You've had to make decisions now.
Yeah.
Jose, it's been a joy. I know you've got to go now.
Thanks.
288 appearances, your 15 goals. You were an absolute club legend. Thank you for taking time to speak to us.
I appreciate that, Dad. We'll do part 2 next time. Thank you so much.
We'll do a part 2 and we'll keep everyone tuned to see our latest and next episode of the X-Files. Jose, you're a superstar. Take care,
guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.